Okay, so good evening to everyone, and welcome to first of four sessions that will be held here in the Estonian Literary Museum about different manifestations related to Catalan culture, traditions, etc. Today we start with well, a bit of information about Catalan celebrations. This presentation is linked to the following, which is more focused on folklore. So, well, for those of you who come to the two of them, you will find that there's some shared information. But in any case, today I wanted specifically to talk about festivals in Catalonia and the way they are celebrated, certain elements that appear recurrently and that, so to speak, are well, ingredients, elements without whom these celebrations can't be imagined. But as I was thinking, I was also thinking of this first lecture, this first presentation as an introduction. So I thought it would be also nice to well, to make a little quiz about Catalonia, which from Estonia, I don't know whether it looks like a distant land or a close land, but probably also the fact that it is not a state in the traditional sense of the term might account for some of the lack of knowledge related to it. In any case, some questions that in a relaxed, funny way might help us to know a bit more about Catalonia. So, well, first of all, a very easy question. How many people approximately speak Catalan? Do we have any educated guess from the numerous audience?
First one.
The first one. Well, the truth is that Catalan, the Catalan language, is spoken approximately by 10 million people. We don't have time here to delve into the exactness of this figure, but yes, around 10 million people know Catalan, whether they use it on a daily basis, whether they use it proficiently on an equal level to, for example, Spanish, that it is the other language that lives with Catalan in Catalonia. Well, that is for the experts to decide, but yes, the approximate figure is 10 million. So in that sense, within Europe, it is more a middle-sized language than a small-sized language. That usually comes as a surprise to many people. Where is Catalan spoken? So we have three options: Catalonia and other Spanish regions, Catalonia, other Spanish regions, France and Italy, or Catalonia only.
Catalonia only.
Catalonia only. Well, the truth is that Catalan is spoken, if you look at the map, it is spoken in Catalonia, of course, but also south to Catalonia in Valencia, which is another region in Spain, another autonomous community. That's how we call them, these sub-state administrative divisions. If you look west, the neighboring western region to Catalonia, which is called Aragon, another historical region as well in Europe, well, in the closest areas to Catalonia, Catalan is also spoken. Catalonian is spoken in the Balearic Islands, as well as in southern France, which until the 18th century belonged to Catalonia, and in just one city in Italy, in Sardinia, called Alghero, for historical reasons. Although, of course, the ethno-vitality of the language greatly differs from one territory to another. Catalonia being the place where the language enjoys a better health, so to speak. So Catalonia, other Spanish regions, France, southern France, and Italy. Have the Catalan language and culture ever been banned?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, as it has been thoroughly studied by some Catalan specialists, especially under Franco's regime, Catalan language and all its cultural manifestations were subjected to a severe ideological censorship, which really affected all of Spain. But in the case of Catalonia and other multilinguistic areas in Spain, there was a very strong linguistic censorship for more than 20 years for publications in languages other than Spanish, which obviously affected other Spanish languages such as Galician or Basque. Things started to look a bit better after 1966, when censorship was lifted in the sense that it wasn't required for pre-publication anymore. And well, then it turned into voluntary consultation after works had been released. And although it is only a slight change in terms of cultural and linguistic control, it really helped. It really helped the Catalan language to kind of flourish or gain some momentum, especially compared to the situation that was before the year 1966. Is Catalan language official in Spain? Yes, no? Only in the areas where it is spoken?
Official in Spain?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, local.
Local, number 3. Indeed, nowadays the Spanish state is very decentralized in many levels. One of them is concerning the officialdom of other languages than Spanish. So Catalan, which receives other names in other regions, it is indeed official, and it enjoys the same status as Spanish language. So in fact, if you look at this map, well, within Spain, Catalan is the official language together with the Spanish within 3 regions: Catalonia, Balearic Islands, and Valencia. In this neighboring area in Aragon, it heavily relies on whoever is at the regional government, but it still has a certain degree of officialdom as well. In Catalonia North, which belongs to France, well, the situation is slightly different. It is recognized as a minority language, but its status is far from officialdom, France being known as a very centralist country also in linguistic matters. And we haven't spoken about Andorra, the little kingdom in the Pyrenees. In Andorra, Catalonia is the official language of the country. And of course, again, well, I mentioned to Alghero in Italy, where Catalan language particularly struggles, but it has certain degree of recognition as well. Well, and finally, Was Catalonia ever an empire? Difficult to say. I don't think even historians themselves agree. But I believe that if we look at the maritime expansion that took place in medieval times, when Catalonia was already part of the what is known as Corona de Aragon, which was a union of, in fact, two kingdoms, Catalonia and Aragon. They undertook some maritime expansions through the Mediterranean. And in fact, for example, southern Italy then joined the Spanish Empire for quite a long time. So yes, depending on the historiography you rely on, but it can be said, I think, being faithful to the truth, that for a certain time, Catalonia or Catalonia and Aragon pursued some imperial expansion, at least within the framework of the Mediterranean, well into what was then the Byzantine Empire. Even some military expeditions were organized into those territories. So not only Spain had imperial vocations. I guess this is something fair to say. But in today's lecture, as I stated at the very beginning, I wanted to share with you some information regarding Catalan festivals, Catalan celebrations. So we will first travel briefly to the roots of these festivities, and of course we have to share some historical information, but these will also allow us to explain how Catalan festivities are organized structures nowadays. And finally, we will mention a couple of things that maybe can be considered like differentiation traits. Celebrations being up to a certain point very similar to those in neighboring lands, neighboring countries, but maybe here we have some things that really enable us to talk about specifically Catalan ways of celebrating. So we will talk about patriotic holidays a little bit, and also some Christmas special, which makes sense since, Christmas celebrations are rapidly approaching. So, back to the roots. As I mentioned before, when we talk about contemporary Catalonia, its manifestations, language, we will always encounter the heavy blow that the Franco's dictatorship supposed to the normal development of Catalonian identity or Catalan traits as a nation within Spain. So back in the 1960s, not only censorship was lifted somehow, but also certain cultural expressions were again allowed after the severe restrictions that the Franco regime had imposed starting in 1939. So it was in the 60s of the previous century that Catalan intellectuals started looking at ancient celebrations as a way to connect with the past, as a way to rebuild somehow within the limitations, of course, of the regime, the Catalan identity. First thing they did, they looked at ancient traditions. For example, midsummer night celebrations, bonfires, etc. And in Catalonia, as in many other Mediterranean countries, areas, lands, there is a special link to the fire. So Catalan intellectuals were interested in somehow recover from the past, took a look at these traditions that were celebrated in the Pyrenees for Midsummer Nights as well. And well, it is a very brief video I will share with you. It is in Catalan and it has no subtitles. But, well, on the one hand, you will be able to listen to Catalan, which is a beautiful language, I believe. And secondly, you will see very clearly what is this tradition about. But, well, mainly it is about bringing fire from the mountains down to the villages. And this was something that escaped persecution from Franco's times, probably due to the fact that they were like very local celebrations in the Pyrenees. No one paid attention to them. But to those who were interested in going back to the roots, they looked like pure traditions, untouched by civilization. And of course, they were the first thing they turned into when they were allowed to look at the past. And, well, you will see what it is about in the video.
Per la vigília de Sant Joan, al poble pirinenc de Boí, al nord de Lleida, joves, petits i grans, transporten a les espatlles uns troncs que pugen a la muntanya. Es tracta de les falles, un conjunt de branques de pic clavades i subjectades amb filferro a un pal. Quan es fa de nit, encenen una foguera dalt la muntanya, que a la vegada permet encendre les falles. Llavors té lloc la nit màgica, ja que d'un en un, en fila índia, davallen cap al poble, formant una línia de llum que va serpentejant dins la més absoluta foscor. Des del 2015, aquesta activitat, que es porta a terme a d'altres indrets del Pirineu, en conjunt va ser declarada Patrimoni Immaterial de la Humanitat per la UNESCO.
So, of course, its pagan roots are obvious, and well, the fact that it is a rather primitive celebration, a pre-Christian ritual, it served the purposes of the intellectual movement of the time, keen on devising somehow some kind of mythical past for Catalan prior to the modernity. But nevertheless, the best known early Catalan festivals, those that can be historically documented, are obviously linked to religion. Catalonia being a very traditional Catholic Southern European country. And one of the best documented, well-known celebrations and very well historically documented is the Corpus Christi celebrations. The first documented proofs of the existence of these celebrations date from the early 14th century. These celebrations were introduced as a celebration of the Holy Communion by the Church, because, well, particularly at that time, they sensed there was a decline in the religious fervor. And it is an elaborate procession, the most famous of which is organized in Barcelona. And in fact, the one organized in Barcelona became a model for many other Catalan towns. But what's more interesting is that despite its religious roots, it fairly fast became a two-sided celebration, which included, of course, religious component, but it also had a very strong civic or urban ingredient. In these pictures that I have selected, you can see, of course, that on the left you have the traditional procession, which has, of course, an obvious religious significance. But on the other hand, right from the early 14th century, the city detached from these strictly religious fervor, and it developed some kind of civic urban celebration, which was directed by the already powerful bourgeoisie of the city of Barcelona. And it became a kind of a parallel celebration. So you had on the one hand the religious side of it, on the other hand, this kind of bourgeois showcase of civic power. One of the most well-known, appreciated parts of this celebration is this little tradition called the dancing egg. And every year for the Corpus Christi celebrations, television always pays attention to this little ritual, which you will see now in the video. Is very simple. It is just an empty goose egg that, when put on a water jet, looks like this. It is very simple yet fascinating at the same time. It is indeed one of the highlights of the Corpus Christi celebration. The fact that this dancing egg is in the cloister of Barcelona Cathedral also attracts lots of masses. It has become widely known amongst tourists too, who also come to see this dancing egg. And well, it's a very simple act, but it has become somehow a symbol of these major Corpus Christi celebrations. To understand the importance of these celebrations, although they are not as important anymore, until the 70s, the major festivities of the city of Barcelona were linked to these Corpus Christi celebrations. So it was really a major event. It was really a major event for the city that, of course, was exploited by the Franco regime, which was also very conservative in terms of religion. And they saw an opportunity, of course, to increase their control and their power through an activity that it was already from its inception religious by nature. In fact, it is very curious how celebrations have been manipulated. So, for example, here you have this newspaper from the 30s. It talks about the celebration of the 1st of May, which is, of course, Workers' Day. And it is a heavily ideologized newspaper, solidarity of all workers of Spain against fascist dictatorship, etc. But the very same day, May Day, 1st of May, in Franco's time, looked like this. 1st of May was turned into Day of Saint Joseph the Worker. So it is also interesting to see how these celebrations, depending on who was in power, were presented in one way or another. And I think this is important because When Franco died, Spain, Catalonia were on their way to democracy. The whole festivals in Catalonia were again re-ideologized in order to forge a new identity for Catalonia. And this is the ideological process that went through these celebrations is very, very important. I mean, in my opinion, it can't be ignored. It's not only, of course, all these celebrations are a moment of social rejoicing, etc. But they were carefully planned, top down, to look the way they look nowadays. I believe this is also important to highlight. And I think the fact that they were a bit planned explain why certain elements appear recurrently in most of the festivals, city festivals that are celebrated in Catalonia, and that they receive, as you can see here, the name of Festa Major in Catalan, which roughly translates as major celebration, major festivity. It is the town or village festival. It is devoted to the municipality's patron saint. So you will always see that, I don't know, for St. Joseph's Day, certain towns and villages in Catalonia have their celebration. When it's St. Anna's Day, some others, and etc. And what I like about them, and we will see now what I mean by that, but is that these town festivals are a combination of two concepts that have been broadly used when defining the Catalan character. Many authors, amongst them the cultural historian Vicens Vives, which I quote here, have always spoken of the Catalan culture as being an equilibrium, a combination of two traits, which are order, which in Catalan could be expressed as seny. Now, seny is one of these cultural concepts that it is very difficult to translate with just one word, but it relates to things like measure, continuity, historical consciousness, moderation, common sense. So Catalans being, on the one hand, people of order, but of course this is combined with certain episodes of tension, which in Catalan is conceptualized through the term of rausha, which has connections with things such as passion, irrationality, impulsiveness. These are working terms. These are things that we use nowadays. If you think about the independence process that has happened in Catalonia in the last few years, some people say that Catalans abandoned this saying. They have been very well known for, you know, people always ready to talk, to reach a consensus, to collaborate with politicians from other parts of Spain, and they gave in to this rausha, and they just started to claim for independence in a rather irrational way. So they are working concepts that they are still in use, leaving aside the truth behind them, that they are still in use in connection with Catalan people. This kind of two sides of the character that can be observed. And if you look at the celebrations and the parts that consistently appear in each of the Festa Majors, you will see that it is, in fact, it can be explained in terms of a combination of seny and rausha. So what are the must-be elements of these celebrations in Catalonia? Well, first of all, the opening musical prelude, which is called Cercavila. Villa, of course, you can see it's village. And it is this kind of procession that in a very orderly way goes through the town at the beginning of the celebrations, and it kind of marks the start of the festival. And people gather in a place waiting for the major actors of the festival to come out. And well, I illustrate it in this video and you will see what I mean. I will provide some explanation a bit later. But for now, what you will see is mainly people waiting for some festival characters to get out.
It's like a cameo.
Yeah, it is related to, in fact, it is related to art. This is one of the figures. This huge-headed dwarf is knocking at the door to release the other characters so that officially the celebration can start. These little big-headed dwarves dance with people, but as you can see, it is all very ritualistic, protocolarian. People are very quiet. It is the beginning of the celebrations. But music, even it is quiet, they are just all respectfully waiting for the celebrations to start. So the video is a long one, but I just wanted to show you the first moment. These are actually called gegants in Catalonia. One second, please. Here we are. So yes, what we have seen in this last video, are very important figures of the celebrations, which are the giants, and the capgrossos, literally big-headed. As you can see, they orderly, in a very protocolarian way, they leave the place where they have been locked, and they start this procession through the town, accompanied by music and by these, again, very ritualistic dances. Giants spin on themselves, and these capgrossos, the dwarfs, just dance around and somehow invite people to join the cercavila, the prelude. The giants are these lofty figures that they move with decorum, with order. They're usually dressed like kings and queens. Of course, many authors, many specialists have wanted to see social hierarchies here somehow depicted. And it is true that they are always dressed like in very fine clothes, and that in a new interpretation of this tradition have appeared new giants that are not always dressed in like this kind of medieval costume, but usually they depict, I don't know, members of higher classes or politicians or important public figures. So this kind of hierarchical differences are still maintained, and they can be seen at a physical level, they being in a higher position than the rest of the party comers or the party goers.
Is it anonymous persons?
Yes, yes. All these celebrations, they are organized by, we actually call them festival associations, and they are in charge of organizing these festivals. And it's usually a group of people. They collect money from the neighbors, they receive money from state funding or regional level funding, but any of these people can be inside of a giant doing it, or be one of the dwarves. Yeah. Yeah, it might not be anonymous in the sense that probably people just talk to each other. And this year I'm going to be in the giant, but they are not assigned roles, so to speak. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Nor, I don't know, other celebrations imply that someone's daughter or someone's son will be entitled to. No, not in this case. This is a rather civic association, grassroots democratic in that sense. Mm-hmm. And well, this would be sane, as we were saying, this concept of order, of decorum, of moderation. But another must element is this run through the fire activity together with diablos, which I guess you can all understand that we're talking here about devils. Again, some celebration related to fire. And well, you will now see what people do on that occasion, and it is very different from what we have seen in the previous video. those willing to participate have to dance under the fire. So usually people dress, they put on their oldest clothes, they even pour some water, and they just dance under this fire created by the devils. So again, some people interpret it in terms of, like a combination of moderation and madness, right? Why would you dance under the fire? But this is a very popular thing. I have done it myself as a young person. And it is a very much expected moment of the festival. Yeah. Very much enjoyed by young people. And well, there's the Christmas special, but maybe we can keep it for the next day. But today we can finish with a couple of what I have named patriotic holidays. It is very important to understand that, of course, Catalanism, nationalist movements in general have used celebrations to reassert themselves. There is two celebrations that have become very important over the years, over the centuries, but they definitely have a patriotic flavor to it. The first of all is La Diada de Catalunya. Dia means day, Diada would be something like big day, special day. Diada de Catalunya, it is in fact the commemoration of a military defeat. September 11th, 1714, we are talking about the Spanish War of Succession here. Barcelona surrendered to Philip of Bourbon. Philip of Bourbon was the French pretender to the throne of Spain. Eventually, it was him who won that war against the Habsburg, the Austrian candidate. And because Catalonia and Aragon had mainly supported the other candidate to the throne, once Philip of Bourbon became King Philip V, passed some very strict legislation against Catalan language, Catalan culture that significantly affected and impacted Catalonia for more than 1 century. It was about 150 years of really difficult times for Catalan culture. So every 11th of September, there is this kind of floral commemoration to the statue that you can see at the back of Rafael de Casanova. Rafael de Casanova was the last governor of the city in 1714. So he, of course, is spoken about in rather heroic terms. He was the person who decided not to surrender, but to resist until the last drop of blood, so to speak, forcing a very violent invasion of the city. A funny note regarding, and you can see here politicians. Every September 11th in the morning, they come with crowns of flowers and they put them by the statue of Rafael de Casanova. Particularly here, you can see the guy with beard and glasses. He's the current mayor of Barcelona, Collboni. But on a funny note, Philip V is such a villain not only in Catalonia, but in many areas where Catalan is spoken, that, for example, in Xàtiva is a town in Valencia, which particularly struggled during that war I was referring to. Philip V inspires such a bitter memory that they have decided to hang his portrait upside down as a way of remembering the kind of very harsh legislation that he imposed on Catalan culture, Catalan territories, but particularly in Xàtiva, because in this town they resisted fiercely to his rule.
One day?
Sorry?
Or 1 day?
No, it looks like this all year round.
Oh.
Yeah. It's just like this in the museum. So if you go to the museum, you will see him hanging upside down all the time. In fact, they once brought the portrait to another museum, and they never put it upright. They always had it upside down too. So yeah, this is their tribute to the bitter memory of the first, who actually was the first Bourbon king. This is a dynasty that still rules in Spain. Another patriotic celebration is San Jordi, Saint George, the saint patron of Catalonia, of Moscow, of England, a very well-known medieval figure. That it is also, as in many other European territories, the patron saint of Catalonia. San Jordi has become known as the day of the rose and the book. The legend says that San Jordi killed the dragon that kidnapped the princess. Out of the blood of the dragon, a rose appeared, and San Jordi gave the rose to the princess. Legend also says that on April 23rd, which is the day of San Jordi, both Cervantes and Shakespeare died, different years, of course. Well, there's an ongoing debate about the truth of these statements, but nevertheless, these two facts have been combined, and they have been turned into the Day of the Book and the Rose, which nowadays is celebrated in many other, especially as the Day of the Book, in many other parts in the world. But in Catalonia, particularly in Barcelona, it has special meaning. It is just a tradition. It is not a bank holiday. But in the afternoon, in the evening, after the working day, people will just take a walk, buy roses, buy books. Cities prepare, especially. You can see stands all over main streets selling lots of books and lots of roses. And of course, it has become a major business. It is a day where many books and many overpriced roses are sold. But nevertheless, it is a very dear celebration for Catalonians, and it is also a boost to, for example, books printed in Catalan language, and it certainly has nationalist connotations. It is a reason, a motive of pride to celebrate San Jordi amongst those Catalans who feel themselves as Catalanists, and of course the Catalanist movement capitalize it and heavily relies on it. So it has become some, so to speak, certain patriotic day too. But I'm exceeding my time. I had this little Christmas special prepared, but I think I will skip it for now because I have already exceeded the time that was assigned to me. But let this be an encouragement for all of you to come to the next lesson, to the next lecture, which will be, yes, in a week's time, same day, Thursday, same time, 5, same place. It will be more about Catalan traditions, but I will focus on a couple of folklore manifestations of Catalonia that I think are rather unique. In fact, they have gained some attention already from the international public. So for now, I will skip the Christmas special. Here are my references, and well, I thank you all, Aita, for your attention and for coming. I hope to see you next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And well, I don't know if there are questions. Maybe the team's public has some questions, but I'm not sure how we should. Go to Teams here.
Yeah.
The microphone, the camera is open, so if anyone wishes to address me some questions, I will do my best to answer them.
If nothing,
But seemingly there are no questions. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for coming, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you very much.
thank you very much.